Picture it, a ship the size of 4 football fields. Thousands of steel boxes stacked 20 high. Every box a customer, every voyage a payday. That is how people imagine owning a cargo fleet. Buy the ship, load the containers, collect the money when it docks. It is nothing like that. A single modern container ship, the kind you see gliding into a major port stacked with cargo, can cost over $200 million new. That is more than a Boeing 777. A mid-size bulk carrier, the type that hauls coal, grain, and iron ore, runs $20 to $40 million. Even a used Panamax bulk carrier, older, slower, with fewer years left in it, still sells for around $35 million. And that is before you have moved a single ton of anything. Before a ship earns $1, it needs flag state registration, classification society inspections, safety certification, crew licensing, environmental compliance under IMO rules. Miss one inspection window, and the ship sits idle in port, burning money instead of making it. None of this moves cargo. All of it is mandatory. Now the ship is registered. It is ready to sail. Here is what it costs you every single day, whether it is loaded or empty. Fuel. This is the number that breaks people. A large modern container ship can burn over 200 tons of bunker fuel a day at sea. At roughly $550 a ton, that is over $100,000 a day just to keep the engine turning. One 28-day round-trip voyage on a mid-size vessel can produce a fuel bill north of $3 million. One trip, one ship. Crew costs add another layer. Officers with international certifications, engineers, deckhands, all living aboard for months at a time. Then port charges. Every port call means docking fees, pilotage, tugboats, cargo handling. A standard Panamax container ship runs close to $9 million a year in total operating costs. Fuel alone eats up nearly half of that. Port charges take another fifth. Insurance is its own monster. Hull and machinery cover. Protection and indemnity cover for crew injury, pollution, cargo damage. A single collision, a single oil spill, and you're not talking about thousands of dollars. You are talking about hundreds of millions in liability. Add it all up. Purchase price, financing, fuel, crew, port fees, insurance, dry docking every few years for mandatory maintenance, which alone can cost millions and take the ship out of service for weeks. This is a business where the bills never stop. Not on weekends, not in a recession, not while the ship sits anchored waiting for a berth. So how do you make money back? You charter the ship out, or you carry cargo for a fee, and that fee is set by a market you do not control. Two numbers rule this entire industry. The Baltic Dry Index for bulk carriers. The Shanghai Containerized Freight Index for container ships. Both move like a heartbeat monitor during a crisis. A Cape-size bulker might earn $30,000 to $40,000 a day when demand is strong. A Panamax bulker, $12,000 to $18,000. Sounds like real money, until the market turns. Because here's the part nobody selling you on ship ownership wants to say out loud. Freight rates are not steady income. They're a coin flip dressed up as a business plan. Meet Hanjin Shipping, not a small operator. South Korea's largest shipping line. The 7th biggest container carrier on Earth. 98 ships, 2,500 seafarers. Over 3% of all global container capacity moving through one company's hands. In August 2016, Hanjin filed for bankruptcy with $5.5 billion in debt. Overnight, ports around the world refused to let Hanjin ships dock. They were afraid they would not get paid. 98 vessels, some carrying $14 billion worth of cargo, were left stranded at sea. Samsung alone had $38 million in electronics floating on 2 ships with nowhere to go. Container rates on some routes spiked 50% in weeks because a huge chunk of global capacity had just vanished from the market without warning. I apologize to the public for causing concern over the cargo chaos, said Hanjin Group Chairman Cho Young-ho. Here is the brutal part. In 2015, 1 year before collapse, Hanjin still turned a profit. $6 million on a $5 billion debt load. That is not a company falling off a cliff. That is a company that had already fallen, still walking, still pretending the ground was under its feet. The cause was not bad management on a single voyage. It was years of overcapacity. Every major shipping line ordering bigger ships, chasing economies of scale, while demand grew slower than supply. Rates got cut. Cut again. Chairman Cho later called it a game of chicken played among the world's biggest shippers. Hanjin lost. You would think that lesson stuck. It did not. Fast forward to November 2023. Houthi forces began attacking commercial vessels in the Red Sea. Within weeks, nearly every major carrier abandoned the Suez Canal and rerouted around the Cape of Good Hope, adding 10 to 14 days to Asia-Europe voyages. Spot rates between Shanghai and Rotterdam spiked 7 times over in 8 months. Suez Canal traffic collapsed by more than half. Egypt's toll revenue, once over $9 billion a year, got cut down middle. For carriers still in the game, this was a gift. Maersk's first quarter EBITDA in 2024 nearly tripled compared to the year before. Fear became profit. But fear-driven profit has an expiration date. By 2026, the shipping industry is staring at its own trapdoor. Air defenses got better at intercepting Houthi weapons. Attack frequency dropped. Carriers are quietly testing a return to Suez. And here is the number that should terrify anyone thinking about buying a ship right now. The order book to fleet ratio sits at 31.6%. That means for every 3 ships on the water today, 1 more is already being built and will hit the ocean in the next few years. Boom, then glut. That is not a cycle this industry occasionally hits. That is the entire business model. Let's put real numbers on 2 versions of the same fleet owner. The optimistic case. You operate 3 mid-size bulk carriers. Rates are strong, Cape-size level, $35,000 a day per ship. Fuel costs are manageable because you slow steam to save consumption. No major breakdowns. No dry docking this year. Across 3 ships, roughly 365 days each, you are looking at tens of millions in gross revenue, with operating costs eating a large chunk, but leaving real profit behind. That is the dream people picture. The realistic case. Rates drop by half when new capacity floods the market, which is exactly what happened after 2010 and is exactly what analysts are warning about for 2026 and 2027. 1 ship needs unscheduled engine repairs, costing weeks of downtime and a 7-figure repair bill. Insurance premiums climb after a minor incident on another vessel in your fleet. Fuel prices spike because of a geopolitical shock nobody predicted. Your margin, the one that looked so comfortable on paper, gets erased in a single bad quarter. The gap between those 2 outcomes is not incompetence. It is timing. It is exposure to a market that swings on wars, pandemics, and shipyards halfway around the world, deciding to build more capacity than anyone needs. The fleet owners who actually survive this industry share something in common, and it has almost nothing to do with the ships themselves. They hedge fuel costs instead of gambling on spot prices. They lock in long-term charter contracts before a downturn hits, not after. They keep cash reserves deep enough to survive a full year of depressed rates, because depressed rates do not last a month, they last years. They watch the order book like a hawk, because the ships being built today are the rates being destroyed tomorrow. The vessel is just steel and steam. The business is the timing, the contracts, and the nerve to stay solvent while the market decides, on its own schedule, whether you deserve to make money this year. Owning 1 ship is a bet. Owning a fleet is a bet made 100 times over. And the house, in this industry, is the ocean itself.